Friday night, weekend underway. Live look outside of Woodbine Mohawk Park here in Campbellville, Ontario, as we get set to host 11 races here tonight. Good-looking card under pretty decent conditions. Sun still peeking through a bit, 13 degrees Celsius, 55 Fahrenheit. An east wind at 16 kilometers an hour shouldn't play much of a factor. Track's in good condition, and it is fast to begin the night as we've got a solid 2 days of racing ahead as we get deeper and deeper into the kind of top-notch racing season. Championship meet underway very shortly. We've got changes for you before the Friday edition of Woodbine Racing Live, so let's get you caught up. Race number 1, early pick 5 underway. $75,000 guaranteed in the pool. No changes in race 1. All clear there. Tonight's second, no changes either. Race 3, where we begin the early pick 4, the 4 Wicked Craving. It's got a shoe change up front from flip-flops to aluminum, and then in behind steel to aluminum. So flip-flops to aluminum up front, steel to aluminum in behind. The shoe changes on the 4 Wicked Craving. Race 4, start of the pick 6. Couple of scratches in here, puts us down to a field of 7. Now take out the 1 Swift Talker. That's a Judge's Transportation scratch. Couple of doors down, the 3 Mickey 6 is lame, so a vet scratch lame there. 1 and 3, both scratched out of the 4th race. Kickoff to that pick 6. Race 5 is clear. 6th race, start of the late pick 5. No changes. Race number 7, it's the Canadian Sired Graduate Series for the 4-year-old trotters. Leg 2, field of 11 down to 10 now with the scratch of number 9, Hungry Hill. The 11, Captain Vanya, will still go from the 2nd tier, however, so do note that. Late pick 4 underway in the 8th race. No changes in the opening leg. 9th on the program is clear as well. 10th race, no changes. And our finale, race number 11. No changes in the race. Do note that the Jackpot High Five, which is available to play, has a carryover coming into tonight of more than $40,000. Those are the early changes, just a few of them. Up next, Friday edition of Woodbine Racing Live with yours truly and the Hall of Famer Randy Waples. Sit tight.
Campbell still the best, 19 in a row. Campbell down to the wire. Emily Chef wins the Simcoe Stakes.
He's big, he's strong, and he has got it going on. Top 25, Canada's horse. Some beach somewhere.
Yeah, motivated on focus.
There, up and pacing.
This is the moment. Gotta one on my opponent.
McWicked on the outside.
Gotta get it, the mindset. Gotta put it in motion.
You gotta be kidding me. PCI wins the million.
Game time, bet I'm coming in clutch. No hang time, man, they can't keep up. The game's on the line, seconds.
Lean back, get your picture taken.
Crowning moment on Canadian soil for Bulldog Hanover.
Motivated on focus.
A late push from Confederate. It's my show. Wins the big show.
This is the moment.
Friday night in studio with Rosema and Waples. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, too.
Yeah, back at it. Nice time of year.
I hear your
as we
voice
know.
all the time.
You do.
Yes,
Yeah,
I do.
yeah,
I
you
wonder
do.
where it's coming from, but I hear it.
Yeah, you do. That's and hopefully not too much longer up there. I'd like to get back down here with you.
Yeah, but you're
little
doing
more.
a good job up there.
Yeah.
I just want to see.
I enjoy
I'm
it, you know,
I'm just
a little
hoping
bit, but-
Kenny gets healthy.
Yeah,
gets
yeah,
back doing what he wants to do.
Yeah,
but in the
exactly.
meantime, you're doing some good work up there.
Yeah, well, I'll fill in, you know, whenever needed for now. But I think I will be having some shows coming up here in the near future with you, which is good because we're
good.
going to be diving into our bigger races. As mentioned, that championship meet's just around the corner. You know, we'll have the SBOA and then into the beach and the Pepsi North
How does it
American
move
Cup
so
and all of
fast?
that. Yeah, I know. It just flies.
We
yeah.
were just having this conversation. It seemed like the other day, like, oh, you know, racing's pretty well done now. It's going to be quiet winter months. Now all of a sudden we're talking about Chantilly qualifying and other good horses qualifying and this and that and big races coming up. And wow, where does it all go?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, our Sbred start tomorrow. They get their season underway. That's always an anticipated start to the horse racing season as well. So
I know two people are
hopefully
going to be
join-
very happy about
Yeah,
that.
chomping at the bit. You've been keeping them in shape here.
Yeah, yeah,
right?
exactly.
Keeping them sharp.
Yeah.
Brady and
Do we get a
Elisa
cut
Blow.
of that, of their salary for keeping them tight?
That's a good point.
I think so.
Yeah,
we should
negotiate that.
Cadillac.
I think we need some agents.
I think so,
don't
too.
we? Yeah, let's not use Brady's agent, though. Yeah. You talked about qualifiers, and yeah, more and more are resurfacing. Last week, we obviously were seeing some big ones, but we heard the details a couple of days ago that Horse of the Year, Chantilly, was going to be out and about here this morning. Well, she was. And she was doing Chantilly-type things out there earlier this morning. She was in the 4th qualifier. And, right from the 6-hole, James went to the front with her. And, she was able to, I think she got the first half in 58. And then, ended up going a mile of 53, Randy. So, 54 and 3 back half and, home in 26 and 1. Doesn't look too stressed either.
No, and I noticed the other day with her is I'm always trying to figure out who her facial expressions remind me of the most. And who she reminds me of the most when she's coming down the lane and she's got those ears just pinned to the back of her neck? So Much More.
Oh, okay.
Same kind of look. So many times with So Much More, a horse will get up alongside of her. Those ears will just flatten. It's kind of the same with this one.
All right. How about a couple more that we're going to talk about here? In qualifying number 5, Go Ahead Make My Day, the gray trotter for Blake McIntosh. Had success south of the border, has paid up to some big events, the Trotting Classic here. This is another good qualifier. How about on the front in 55 and 2 with Louis Waugh?
Louis looking happy in there. Really got them spread out here. But Blake had such a huge year last year.
Yep.
Really looks like he's going to be off to a pretty awesome year this year, too,
Yeah,
the way all these horses
and
are
he'll have
qualifying.
good 2-year-olds again. We know that. The
And
one
they're-
that was 3rd there, that's You Got It Kemp, last year Super Final champ.
Right. That's the Legace horse?
Dan Legacy.
Yeah.
And his whole family. So that was his first charted line of the season. Good to see him back. And then also we're going to head to qualifier number 6. Sprite Sealster won the Tyler Borshear's ownership in, ends up winning. Up in 57 and 3, 27 and 4 in the end of it. But, we want to focus on some others in here too. Foxy Amy. Remember, you liked her, how light she is on her feet. She's the one on top here. Mona Lishi, her 2nd qualifying session. She trots home in 27 and 4. She's 3rd, just ahead of the stablemate Medley Sealster, who's 4th in here as well. But another good looking showing from her.
Yeah. It was a good showing. No doubt about that. They both look good in there. And, hopefully we have this kind of year that we're thinking that we're going to have. Looks like they've all added a little bit of weight. They've beefed up for the year, which is good.
And then NA Cup eligible, 5th and 5 in a short qualifier, just 3 horses in here total. Got down to the half in a minute and 1, ends up going a mile and 56. It was a sprint on the end of it, 26 and 1. Travis Cullen, he's got a nice one here in Blue Bar. 2nd charted line for this one, just coming home in 26, but doesn't even tip off the helmet.
No.
Right? Just a pretty good looking effort from kind of all of them here. Just, going through it. So, yeah, nice showing there, but just exciting to see Chantilly. Now, anything that you can see at first glance based on, from a physical standpoint, any changes that you see with her based on last year or not?
I think she's thickened up a little bit. You'd have to probably see her live to really kind of analyze it, But I mean, just on the camera, whatever, it looks like she's maybe thickened up a little bit. I wouldn't say that she's grew a whole lot taller, maybe a little bit. Again, you'd have to be up alongside of her, but she does look a little bit more beefed up than what I remember her last year. But other than that, everything, looks absolutely perfect. It's just amazing to think that we could potentially be looking at a horse that could, be making a start in the NA Cup. Some people out there, maybe they don't look at as big, but I've been around since the time the NA Cup started.
Yeah.
And I've never seen nothing like that. So, I'm pretty excited about it.
And that's exactly what it does. It generates excitement.
And the other thing
that's what's
is
fun
too,
in our sport.
Right. And the other thing is, too, it's not like we're talking about a horse that's down in the United States that's maybe going to come up here and try this. We're talking about a horse that's born, bred, raised in Canada. And she's at homebred here from a great racing operation, and we could potentially be looking at the first filly, to compete in that in against the Glamour Boys. And to me, it just gives me goosebumps thinking about it.
Time will tell, but I would say that that'd be a good start. Just quick speculation here without talking to the connections. 53, it looked like it was an unstressed effort too. What do you think Nick wanted to go? Do you think he wanted to go 53, a little slower than that? What do you think?
Well, I think 53 is a good spot,
For your first of the year?
Yeah, because you and I both know you can drop 5 seconds like that in a race. So, I mean, if she drops 5 seconds off of 53, that's 48 first start. I mean, you're not going to want to go anymore. My biggest worry is what does she fit? Is she going to have to go in against the killer mares? You know what I mean? Does she fit in something in between?
She'll probably have to face older, I would think.
Oh, she's going to have to face older.
Unless there's a thrilled open that, she's up against the boys in there.
Potentially, that could be too, you know. But, I mean, that's the biggest thing is I just hope that there's enough racing out there. I'm not saying protect her, but I'm saying that there's enough racing out there. I'm hoping that the race office is able to write her into a class where she's not going to be overextended too early. I would hate to see that, because if they're going to take a shot at this, she needs to go in there as fresh as can be. Simple as that. I mean, she is a great mare, a great filly so far, and she's done nothing wrong, whatever. But when fillies have to race colts, it's a different ball game. They really have to go full tilt to be able to get what they get done, especially on the pace side. Trotters can sometimes get away with it a little bit more. On the pace side, they really have to, go hard to be able to do that. So you want her going into that NA Cup as fresh as possible.
And the starting point for her could end up being SBOA or Golds. You know what I mean?
That would be
fantastic.
fantastic.
Be against your own kind. That's
that would
kind
be
of
my
win-win,
biggest thing, is just, have her going in there when you make your decision, try to be as light as possible,
So tonight we've got a solid 11 pack, but looking ahead to tomorrow, 12 races on tap, so that gives us that pumped up wagering menu. But we've got a bunch of series that are going to wrap up, ones that, were contested on Thursdays and Fridays, and then they're all going to culminate with their finals on the Saturday night. So you've got the Ontario Saturday Spring Series that are going to wrap up. We have 4 finals of that, I guess.
Yeah.
And then we've also got the Canadian Graduate that, should be continuing, but it didn't go in leg number 1. I think there was only 4 that entered. There's just 5 tomorrow, is it?
Yeah.
We see Funtan Bayama back in these parts, and some others in there. So,
interesting little 5-pack, though.
Yeah, it is. And
I didn't go with Fun Time on top.
Well, and they're all going to get paid going
I'm telling
forward.
I didn't
the
put
final,
him on
right?
top.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got James McDonald, a lot going for him there. James went against Marigold Magic, to go with this horse. So.
And then no preferred pace, but a preferred 2.
It's an interesting
pace.
one, too.
Yeah. So certainly some names that we know in there. Pop-up series final. It really is a good-looking Saturday card.
Very good-looking Saturday.
I didn't look, but what's Mother Nature going to do for us?
I think if we can get through tonight dry, I think we're good for tomorrow.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if they're calling for any rain tomorrow, it's not much.
That's like Mr. Piquet.
Then tonight, we've got the Ontario Graduate Series for the 4-year-old trotters getting underway tonight, or continuing here, leg number 2. Last week, we had 2 shorter divisions. Tonight, it was supposed to be 11. There's one of them scratched, but still full group of 10. Paquette's going to headline that bunch in here, and he made his debut for the season look pretty easy last week.
Oh, yeah. I mean, right now, it's going to be Paquette and the rest of them. I know there's a few of them that are going to chase him, but I don't think Jody's even close to the mat with what this guy's got on.
He's just got a different look to him.
He does.
Do you know what I mean?
He's got a swagger.
A flashy
swagger.
look, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's
most good horses have swagger.
Yeah,
they know it.
Yeah. Speaking of trotters, I was just thinking, with all these ones coming back. I mean, obviously, we're still awaiting kind of Nijinsky to qualify and some others, but a Highland Kismet. I wonder when he's going to be out. We did see James McDonald at Hasty Bid. I know he schooled last week off the gate. He qualified today. I think he was second in his qualifier. Might have been in the 57 range, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he's gearing up for the Arthur Cutler.
I was just out in the paddock there quickly last night there and talked to James there when he was telling me there last night. Because remember I called you and I asked you, do you really think that was how fast that mile went? He told me there, he said, this track right now is just lightning fast. And that's coming from the guy that's out there, more than anybody. Yeah. And for him to come out and say that this track right now is just A1, kudos to the track team.
I know we were having some timing issues last night, but you were talking about it, and I ended up timing it off just a replay video, and it was right there.
Yeah, so great fractions.
Yeah, they were going some pretty good fractions.
He just says, like, right now, they can get over this track like smoke.
All right, we got lots to cover. Randy sent in a ton of replays, but not as many as he's got tomorrow. So you're gonna be selling your picks, that's for sure.
Yeah,
race number 1.
I'm gonna be keeping Rollis busy tomorrow.
Yes,
aren't I?
Yeah, that's right. We got John Rollis in town tomorrow, which is nice to see. Field of 10 to kick things off. $75,000 in the early pick 5. Xander, who was the morning line choice, is down a little bit from the 3-1 initial odds. I mean, I would think the Connections were happy with his first start of the year.
I would have to think that they were very happy with it. He made my watch list, and the one beside him too, Misty Cove. Speaking about the Gallucci-Millar connection, both of them made my. But I'm going to go second and third with these two birds, Chad. I'm going to go with the one horse up on top, SOS Sports Bet. Going to be coming in here for Team McNair. Was a winner at London 2 starts ago, and then comes back here. Trevor Henry subbing out of the 10 hole, comes up with a big third in there. So let's take a look at the replay on this guy. And remember, just to get to this point, big leave out of the 10 hole, 27 flat to get him there. So now he's got the rail in here tonight, and Dougie McNair are going to be taking over tonight for this guy. I think that he's in a better spot. Like, I think that Xander raced very, very good, but again, with the 0 for 1, 0 for 9 last year, both times a qualifying mark. He's starting to scare me a little bit, Chad. Misty Cove, to me, needs one more. He's just getting a little bit better. In on the bottom, I threw in the Invincible Hanover of Tony Beaton. I thought he qualified very, very well. But this SOS Sports Bet is the way that I'm going to go in this race. I just think that the move from the 10 hole down to the rail, he had a good effort in that last one, where he finished third to Xander. I think that he's in a better spot, and I think now that he's in a spot where Xander and Misty Cove have to come to him.
Yeah, it looked like, too, in that replay where he was, it looked like he was locked on that right line in the stretch. Trevor, once he went southpaw, was able to kind of get him off of that, too.
Yeah, for sure. And, if he's on it again tonight there, Dougie will just drive him right through the pylons anyway. He don't care.
Yeah. This Misty Cove, though, I like how he's, progressing, right?
Yeah.
And I know it shows a break at the start. It was very brief.
Very.
It was, maybe just a touch more than a bobble, really. But it was enough to put him, a little bit behind the 8 ball, but he then kind of regained his composure and got into it. This is one that's coming around for them.
Yeah, and I think last week, too, when he raced here, it was just kind of when we got into that resurfacing of the track.
Yeah.
Might have been a little bit deep.
Could have been.
Got a little
maybe.
bit scrambly.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, he ran for a step.
Yeah, he might be a project horse. You know what I mean? One of those.
Could be.
But, coming along. Okay, over to race number 3 is where we go to next. Early pick 4 getting underway here with a group of pacers, non-winners of 2 in this bunch. We've got a full field of 10. Nice to see quite a few of them out here as well. We get some returning ones, and including Nice Buns into this spot here. She's had a couple of qualifiers getting ready. I think later on tonight we will see her stablemate Au Jus Hanover as well, getting back to work. But Nice Buns installed as the morning line favorite. I'm not sure, will she be the choice from out there, do you think?
I mean, tough. She's going to be my choice.
Okay.
And we are going to show you this replay of Nice
Latest
Buns.
qualifier?
Yeah.
Okay.
The last qualifier.
Okay.
The big thing with her is I'm more picking her on what she did last year, Chad. You know what I mean? Raced in the She's a Great Lady. One of the ones that we kind of knew a little bit about, because there's some pretty nice fillies in here that have been racing. This one, just going to be making her first start back, has an outside post to work with. I don't know how deadly JD wants to be with her, but she come in last 3 quarters in 124 this day, middle half in 57 seconds, and then polishes it off with the last quarter in 27 flat for Mr. Drury. Look at the whip over JD's quarter. Right there now is the first time that, and this was just to keep her interested. I think that she was playing a little bit of possum because you see her starting to move forward. Now he starts to let her move forward even more on this run out. Look at this. This is the part that kind of attracted me to her there, because even he's getting some fitness into her now, even though he wasn't getting much into her earlier there. So I think that she's going to be good in here. Maybe I'm going a little bit too quick on her, with coming off the qualifiers, but to the same effect, if she puts a big race up tonight, Chad, she's going to be 1-5 in her next start, if she comes back to this non-winners of 2. But I do think Lady Cafe Olay is going to be tough in here as well. I like the changes that Mackenzie Spence is putting in on Wicked Craving. And boy, oh boy, was I ever a big fan of My Tide last week. She gutted it.
Yeah. Part of that great week for Benny Hollinsworth.
I really thought that Flower number 10 was going right on by her, and she just kept gutting it, My Tide.
Yeah. What about the 5-year-old in here? Artie's Money, new face. I mean, qualifiers have been good. I know that one ended up making a break, but bounced back with a 54-1 winning effort with a strong final quarter too. Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard to get a register on some of these horses that are coming in from Australia and stuff like that. I don't really, obviously the lines look good. 10 starts and 7 times in the top 2, and even made pretty good money for over there, $18,000, but don't really know the kind of times that they're beaten. I know it says there, mile and 16th, 156 and 4. Figure it out, Randy. But I just don't really know the depth and the times. So I'm just going to kind of more or less just kind of take a wait and see approach. There's one that's in to go Saturday too that Billy Davis chooses to go to over a horse that I thought was a liver pick, and it's got the outside, and it's for Paul Thomas Court as well. Didn't use that one either, but kind of we'll talk about that, on Saturday night there, whatever. But that's what I mean. I'm just trying to get a feel for some of these horses.
Yeah, and Billy, you could be keeping the relationship good there too, because obviously he had to opt away from this one here tonight, which I'm sure he would have loved to have driven.
Right.
But, you got Lady Cafe Au Lait. Here's an opportunity for him to drive one that's going to be in the provincial program this season, right? And Billy knows it's a business, and he's got to try and get himself some of these drives for grassroots golds, whatever it may be, right? That's
the whole thing, you know. So, I mean, how much does he like this one here? It's kind of a guessing game right now. I'm going to go with the one that I know, which is Lady Cafe Au Lait. I'm not really sure where Artie's money is going to fit into all this, with Dougie picking this one up.
Okay, we'll skip over 4. That starts the pick 6, though, by the way. Race 5 is where we head to next. Field of 10, we know quite a few of these. There some are, preferred mare types, and likely will be back there in the future. Full field of 10, I think, makes this race even that much more exciting.
Very.
You've got Glenborough, who's going to be installed as the morning 9 favorite. She's had to be racing tougher lately and, still earning money, just not coming away with the wins, but now dropping down. But, there's others that are kind of following the same suit, too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like She's Got It All last week was a huge mystery. The 4-horse in here, because you know what she's capable of when she's on a regular rotation. But when she comes back off of one of these kind of, where she'd missed all that time or whatever, a few months, only the one qualifier to work with, where do you put her? But anyway, this week, I laid off of her last week. She ended up being 4th in there. I thought she raced a really, really good race, like the way that she performs on the end of it. So She's Got It All is going to be my top pick in here. But we got 2 replays to show in this race, Chad. There's going to be another one coming in too, and that's going to be her next door neighbor sitting in beside her, which I would consider last week was a bit of a troubled trip. I think Dougie could be picking himself up a pretty live mount here. So She's Got It All to me, had some good movement on the end of it there. Finished 4th in there for Ziron and Louis Wah. So now hopefully, I'm going to put her up on top, go for here. So now let's take a look now at setting a precedent. Now, I know normally we see her being a little bit more dangerous in against a little bit easier competition. Say that non-winners of 8,000 class, she eats it up. But I think that her form right now is spot on. And look at McClure trying. Now, he does give her a little tap. But look, now he's got a reverse direction again. So he moves her in, gives her a tap, reverses direction, comes through here. Now, there's no place to go for. He's still kind of chasing her, but now it's none. He's done.
Up.
You're done.
Yeah.
So her, I think she's going to come into this race quite sharp, ready to go. Dougie McNair could be picking himself up a very live mount.
What I find, too, is even you talk about the good form, that's the Amanda and Tom Riley horses.
Yeah.
2 right now.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, look at Gouda 1.
And
right?
Garnett's going to put her right up on
shape.
top.
Yeah, he'll give her a whirl. So why not? I mean, Dougie almost won with her 2 starts ago in here. This is just that type of race where because you got 10 good ones stacked up, could create a bunch of action. And it could just be who's that one that's going to be in the right spot at the right time.
Something, that's a perfect way to put it, because she's not an overpowering horse in these kinds of classes, but would you not classify setting a precedent as dangerous?
Yeah, well, definitely, because she's one that can leave out of there enough that can just ride the cones, let stuff happen in front of her, and then you hope for some room.
And she still has pace.
Yeah,
I agree.
Know. Caviar and Crackers, another one I think is really in good form right now. They've got her back on track. I think it's a matter of time before she wins again. All right, that's the 5th. Looking forward to that one. Over to race number 6 as we get our late pick 5 underway. We've got a group of 10 in here. It's a non-winners of 1 bunch that are going to be lining up. Gouda Man does show up on the Lasix program to kick off his 3-year-old season. This horse, Hello Darkness. We were talking about him last, I guess this was Saturday that he raced, the 19th, was that Saturday? Yeah. Made his debut. He made your watch list as well off of that 3rd place effort. I know he got bet down as the race favorite, and for ones that bet him and made him the choice, they were probably disappointed. But from a pari-mutuel debut perspective, I would say the connections have to be pretty happy.
It was the only thing that he could do.
Yeah.
You know, that's the big thing. You know, I mean, everybody.
He
you know,
dropped 5 seconds
That's
off the
right.
qualifier.
You know, there's no more that he could have done than what he did. It was a perfect, first drive by James McDonald. You know, these owners, they got a lot of money and a lot of years tied up into these kinds of horses. Tony Beaton, you know, he spends all week on these kinds of horses. You do want to see it overdone first start, then you're never going to see what you could have had.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if James gets out a couple of steps earlier, if they go a little bit quicker, you know, a length or two quicker to the 3/4 pole, does he get there? Probably he does. But he didn't overdo it on the horse, and that's what I like. That's why I think that this horse is going to come back, respond very well from this drive, and come back with a big effort in here. So I was really, really happy with the way that he went. Made him my horse to watch, like you said. And I think that he's going to show huge improvement over that. Now, the 6-horse Nova Blue, who I got in for second, to me, that was a huge improvement that he showed.
Yep.
You know, so, you know, I don't really look at him as a win candidate right now, but he is showing big, big improvement, which, you know, I mean, you got to give them props for that.
Yeah, and the Sean Stacey trainee, he was a late starting 2-year-old, but he's come back by all accounts with the 2 qualifiers that we see. I'd be happy with those lines.
Yeah, I would be too.
Right.
And you know, the fact that, you know, Louis got the one chance to go with them now last week and in that qualifier, it looks like he qualified huge with that big last quarter after he'd been used really hard earlier in the race, you know. I say he's good and ready to go, so I threw him in for third.
Okay, that's the 6th race, start of our late pick 5. Race number 7, our feature of the night. It is the Canadian Sire Graduate Series for the 4-year-old trotters, round 2. Last week, a couple of 6-horse fields. Captain Vanya was able to upset. Was he not well prepped off the bench? And then Paquette lived up to his overwhelming billing there as the 20 cent to the dollar winner. Hungry Hill's out, so we're down to a field of 10, but again, Captain Vanya will still go from the second tier in here, free to line up behind anybody he wants. As far as Paquette, a good draw, and it could very well be even stronger tonight.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we got 2 replays to show you in here, and it's going to be of Paquette, and it's going to be Captain Vanya, the 2 horses that won, you know, their divisions here last week. 2 totally different styles of trip, and in my opinion, the 2 horses that raced the best in this series. So let's go with these 2. We're probably going to show Paquette first or Vanya first. Vanya first.
Yeah,
now, this is, again, you know, here's Trevor in a situation, you know, he's going into a stake race, only the 2 qualifiers to work with, you know what I mean? If he'd have went to the front, maybe he gets the job done, but not nearly. He's not going to come out of it nearly as good as he's going to come out of this one. This is a great effort by Trevor Henry. I'm thinking the trainer, Shannon Henry, probably gave him a big kiss when he got home, you know what I mean? She'd be so excited about this race, and I love the way that he's trotting on the end of it, and not just the fact that he's trotting fast, it's the fact that he passed the entire field on the outside. This 2-horse, by the way, too,
Mastercraft, yes.
Big effort on the end of it. He made my watch list, so I wanted to talk a little bit about him and Vanya. I thought both of them raced good. I thought maybe Mastercraft was a little bit dulled, you know, with what he had to go through. So, you know, it was more or less a shutdown, start up sort of a thing with Mastercraft. Both of them raced extremely well. Now, look at this horse. To me, this could be our future, you know, star, Logan Park, whatever you want to call, coming out of the Ontario Sire Stakes, you know. I don't put anybody with Sandpail, so I'm not going to throw those names together. Nothing against any of the Paquette connections, but Sandpail's my boy, and nobody's ever going to, you know, get up to his grill, in my opinion, anyway. But the way that this horse is doing it, the way he's been managed, the way that his athleticism that he brings each and every start, I absolutely love the way that he's performing out there. And you know, the horse that Louis Waugh was
RPD
steaming,
Blinders,
right?
yeah,
You know,
good.
threw him in on the bottom.
Yeah.
You know, Tyler Borth picking up a pretty live drive in here tonight for Benny Bergeron.
Yeah, you know, Paquette, you know, to come off the shelf, look like that. I mean, he just trotted perfectly. He's got a nice, big, strong build to him. You know, yeah, he's fun to watch. But this is a good group. I'm happy to see it being a full field of 10 here in round number 2, but unanimous on the board for the certain favorite in Paquette. Okay, let's continue on. Over to race number 8 we go. Late pick 4 gets underway in this 8th race on our 11-race program. It's Fillies and Mares. It's the bottom level condition. Nometers a 3,200. I know you've got another replay that you want to show up in here. You've got Better Be Donna. You know, she's maybe been hinting at her 41st lifetime win in the near future because she's been close in her last couple in this spot. One last bet, another one that's been just knocking. Chickabel's been racing well. inside three look like they're kind of the main players here, don't they?
Yeah, they're my inside three, and I also threw the 5-horse, another
Flight
Paul
Crew?
Thomas Court that Billy Davis has sided with, coming off that qualifier. But we've seen her racing against deeper competition than this Flight Crew and race very well, and she has the ability to leave, get herself into a good spot, and still have some pop on the end of it. Billy Davis sticking real close to this Paul Court stable, and I don't really blame him. When his horses are good, they're good. So one last bet. We got the replay of her, and she's going to be my top pick in here. Great effort, I think, there by Louis Waugh and Mike Nowitzki with this one. She's in a good spot. It's just going to basically come down to, is she going to be able to get back out and get the job done? You were talking about Better Be Donna, 11 years old, and I'm not 100% sure if I've seen her form any better than she is right now, Chad. I know she used to race at a bigger, at a higher degree, than what she is now, higher classes, but man, she's racing so well.
I thought she was going to hold on here because we've just seen her do that so many times in the past, right?
Now, Louis, he is chasing a little bit, but every once in a while, he's got to shut the brakes back down again. Now, right that little spot, he gets to go forward, but I think in most cases, he had a clear, he was clearly a horse that was live down on the inside, and if she gets one of those and comes back and gets that same trip again tonight, I think she could capitalize.
Yeah, Chickabell will try to rebound as she was defeated last time, but she spent a lot of it on the outside at a tough starting post. So, James back
sticking
aboard here.
close with her, too.
But as you can see, a lot of 1, 2s, and 3s in that 8th race. Race number 9, we'll skip over. We'll go to the 10th to kick off the late double. It's our final trot of the night. It's a nominators of 2 group of 8 in here. Some that are light on experience. We've got some returning. Last night, what was their weight? I think we had 4 horses returning, breaking their maiden, and it was in their 2025 debut.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess just the time of year, too, right?
Yeah,
You've got horses coming back, but that was a common theme last night.
It was, But that's the beauty of seeing these 2-year-olds become 3-year-olds,
Yep.
Some of the ones that were struggling a bit but still showed brief, breaks of talent.
Yep.
They could really be setting themselves up for a big year this year. Artful Dodger being one of them.
Yeah.
He
looked good
that horse
last night.
looked completely different than what he did last year,
Yeah.
but showed brief glimpses of talent last year too.
Yeah, right early on, and that was enough to get Sheer Valley that ended up saying, okay, I'm going to buy this guy privately off of Dan Lagasse, who developed him.
Another horse.
And it just didn't work out initially, but he's come back solid.
Yeah, and another horse, Call Me Parker.
Yeah.
Each week getting a little bit better, a little bit deeper.
And I liked Mayance last night.
Oh, yeah.
I've just been a fan of his anyway.
Yeah.
Get
Great
the
job.
green. Is that his name?
Great job by the pair of them.
Yeah. Okay, so this 10th race trot, morning line favorite is Chicago Hall in here. He's raced pretty well in both starts this season. Your brother's horse, Wild Turkey Hanover. I mean, I know he finished 7th, but he probably got out of it what he wanted. It was a big back calf.
Yeah.
I think he's going to take a step forward here tonight. He's got a lot of talent. And even, what about Paul's Charge on Gawa in here? In his second start, to drop a bunch of seconds like that, it was a different trip, but it was probably a race that he needed too, I think, from an experience standpoint.
Yeah, I actually was more impressed with the last race than I was the win, and I was impressed with the win.
Okay.
Very impressed with the win. Thought he raced fantastic, not to mention the fact he's got the greatest name in harness racing, Ungawa, magical name like that. But anyway, this race is, like you said, different kind of a situation.
Yep.
Gets away towards the back. You can see Paul, second last horse on the back here, but is spending a little bit of time on the outside. So, with a horse that's just coming back, getting some fitness under him. 10 and a quarter out at the half. 3 wide at the 3/4 pole, as you can see right
just
now.
before that even.
Still out at 7. So this is the part where it starts to get interesting. So already you got a young trotter that moves 3 wide on our turn and makes ground doing it. That right there says to me, better watch this guy. And look at the move he puts on. Now, he's not going to get up close to these because he just has too much ground to make up. And Paul is just too sharp of a cookie to empty this guy out. Second lifetime start. I think Paul knows exactly what he's sitting on right now. I think Paul probably come out of that race extremely happy with Ungawa. And I'm going to go right back to Ungawa. I seen things from him last week that impressed me even more than he did with the win.
And trying to close into a quickening pace.
Right.
But I mean, I get the approach. It's started a little bit, near the back in this instance, and it's all stuff. Paul's done this before. He knows what he's doing to teach them.
He's
and,
very sharp cookie.
Yeah. Exquisite Taste has come back great for Louis Waugh and Eric Nadeau, 2 for 2 to start her 3-year-old season. You've got Matt Bax, who can definitely have them ready off the bench, and same with Ben. And they send out the outside pair in here. So maybe a little more competitive 10th race than some are figuring. Let's talk one more, the 11th and final with the high five available to play, over 40 grand in carryover money. The class that will contest it. Nominators in 9,800 last 5 for the Fillies and Mares. You've got Chiefs Dream Girl. That is dropping down, and this is a class that's generally pretty favorable to her when she gets down here and she draws well. So you obviously do have to factor her in, but I mean, the inside 4. So the inside 4, they're all dropping down.
Yeah.
Into this spot in here, and maybe somebody else pops up. Where'd you go?
I went to the Cuz I'm Special.
Cuz I'm Special?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going to show you the replay on Cuz I'm Special. I thought that last week's effort was a good one. Now, I mean, her last 2 starts, she's had an 8 and a 9. She's left out of there really, really hard. The one time there, her second line down in the optional 50, she gets interfered with at the half, more or less taken out of the race, but still only gets beat 3 lengths. Still comes a big back half, too. Jody comes right back this week, busts her out of there from the 8 hole, gets lucky. James dumps him into a hole, and now he stays into this hole, but he still has go on the end of it. You know, so this is 2 what I would consider to be pretty tough races back to back. And look at her. She's still the only one of this group back here that's still making grounds on the end of it, going back to McNair, going to lighten the load up, going back to McNair tonight. That's the route that I'm going to go.
And you know where Good at One is tonight. She's in, that
Away
good,
from them.
mare class
Yeah.
here tonight. So Cuz I'm Special, reunited with Dougie. She got a couple of weeks off after that pop-up victory, and maybe she's just needed a couple too.
Yeah, and like I said,
Right?
the one was an interference. I mean, she just got wiped out. The last one, to me, she did everything that she could have from the 8 hole in against there. I mean, she went off at 18-1.
Yeah.
Didn't race like no 18-1 shot.
Yeah, some solid races tonight.
Very good racing.
Yeah, hopefully it can generate some payouts, and you can be on the winning end of those. Randy's going to try and help you out with his 4-pack of plays that he's got here tonight. As we tee this up, it starts right away in the opener on SOS Sports Bet.
Yeah, he's going to be my beat the favorite in here. I think there's a couple in here. Xander, Misty Cove, that might
Xander's
take some
hammered
more
right
look.
now, 4 to
Right,
5.
so he could be my beat the fave. Waples Watch, one last bet, locked in for Louis Y. I think that she had more pace than, maybe what the replay showed. Worth a look is going to be above my pay grade all the way over to race number 9 for this one, coming over from Flamborough for Team Cullen, and all in Ungawa.
I like it.
Got to stick around for the 10th
competitive
for that
10th,
one.
but you're going to take a stand there. Plays from John Angostura Hanover from the 9-hole. Paquette for Gislan is a single for him in the multi-leg, and I think many others. Diamond Rider is a spot play for GB in that 9th race as you guys go head-to-head in that contest. Good luck to them and everybody else playing along. Glad you're with us to kick off your weekend at Mohawk Park. We've got 11 coming up in under 10 minutes. I'm going to shoot upstairs. Randy's got you covered here in studio throughout the night. Good luck.